on this call today. So I hope I can live up to that great introduction of being called an expert. But really, Laura and I just want to share some of the tips and tricks and pieces of advice that we have gained along the way as it relates to LinkedIn. So as Laura is getting ready to share our slideshow, I'm just wondering, so beside the chat function at the top, you will see a variety of functions where you can raise your hand or put a thumbs up or anything like that. So if you have a LinkedIn profile already, can you please click the raise hand function? Perfect. And I see a lot of names popping up with their hand beside them. So that's great. Maybe you have a LinkedIn profile you have for a long time, and maybe you're thinking, you know what, it could probably use a little bit of a refresh and a revamp. Or maybe you just made one and you're really kind of struggling to get your profile started, or you don't know where to start. Maybe you haven't made that LinkedIn profile yet, but you're wondering a little bit about it. So hopefully these are all the areas that we are going to cover today. So I think the next just question that I was going to get started with, or maybe a little bit of a fun way to get started. So again, in the chat, you can all put your hands down. If you don't actually put the hand down, you will it will be left up throughout the presentation today. And I see some people putting in links to their LinkedIn profile. That's fantastic. You're welcome to do that throughout, but maybe in the end, we can all officially put our links in there together if you would like to connect. So in the chat underneath, you'll see the little icon that says GIF, G-I-F. And within that, you can type in a word. And I would like you to use a GIF and put it in the chat to show how confident you are feeling about your LinkedIn profile. So maybe you would use words like confident or meh, not so good, or maybe a little bit nervous. Let me know. Yeah, we've got some meh, I think it's okay. Let's see if I can find one here. I'll like give mine a thumbs up. Yeah, we've got a few of those thumbs up ones. I think it's all right, but at the same time, you know, this presentation as I was working on it really made me go back to do a little bit of a self-assessment of mine and to think about the ways, yeah, you know what, it probably could use some updating, because as we graduate, as we progress and change jobs, or even as we progress throughout our own careers, there are experiences and skills that we are having and obtaining that can definitely be put on there. So it's so fun to look through all of those. Some people are maybe not feeling very good about it, and hopefully that will change after today. Yeah, these are funny. Thank you for putting those in there. So again, Laura, if you just want to go to the next slide. Oh, no worries. Okay, so my question for everyone today, if you're not still putting the GIF in there, is there something specific? Is there one aspect about LinkedIn that you are hoping to learn about today? Please put that message in the chat for us. And I'm going to write some of these down as well, so that as we are going through, I can make some mental notes and know, you know, kind of what extra questions that I can answer. How to make it eye-appealing. For sure, industry expectations, grabbing attention, how to make a short and compelling summary. For sure, that summary section can be a little bit daunting, and sometimes we don't know what to put in there, and we don't just want to necessarily copy our cover letter. How to advertise yourself better, best practices for engagement, building the About Me section, publishing. Yeah, sexy and fun, but still professional. I love that for sure. I can never come up with a good headline. How much is too much? Fantastic. Thank you for putting these in there. These are, you know, great tidbits of information, and I can assure you we are going to cover all of these as we go throughout the presentation today. So Laura, if I can get you to go to the next slide. So why use LinkedIn? So LinkedIn has a variety of features. And before we get into some of the facts and some of my intro pieces, I just wanted to go over, if there's some of you that might still need convincing as to, I made a profile, but I don't really use it. Should I be on there updating it? Or, I'm not quite sold yet. So what can you tell me? So many LinkedIn profiles have so many advantages, and these are some of the few. So it allows you to find jobs. What people don't realize is that over the last couple of years, LinkedIn as a job searching website has truly been developing. And it's actually a great source for new and upcoming positions. Very reputable companies post on there, and there's a variety of positions. So whether you are just graduating or looking for a summer maybe internship, or you're someone with lots of experience within certain fields and you're looking to make a change to a different company, it's a great resource for job searching. It helps you build your personal brand. So what this means is that it's a little bit more personal. It allows you to add in, your flair of what makes you unique, and to really promote yourself and to rank higher on a Google search. So normally, if you were to Google yourself, some social media sites would come up. If you've ever been a part of something in the community where a news article was published, that might come up. But the great thing is if you create a LinkedIn account, your LinkedIn account is now what bumps up to the top of that Google search. So if you're being searched by an employer, your LinkedIn account is what's going to come up first, which is not only professional, but a personal kind of outlet for them to look and see who you are. It helps you store your professional contacts. So some of you may have been at our previous alumni workshop, which was for networking. And we talked about how we really optimize in networking to build our contacts. And you know what? We might not always need to reach back out to those contacts right away, but people that we meet, people that we work with, people that are in the same industry, we can connect with them on LinkedIn so that down the road, if you ever need to have a question answered, source out some information, you're able to go back and look through those professional contacts. It's a great research tool. So you can follow companies and people and do research on, certain companies and certain industries. It allows you to stay up to date on your industry. So the great thing about LinkedIn is that all the time people are sharing relevant and new and upcoming information, whether it's their own experiences, whether it's articles or research or things that they are taking part in. And then it allows you to build your network. So normally there are, especially within this virtual capacity, there are so many students that I don't get to meet in person, or staff members that I haven't gotten to meet in person yet. However, I have been able to connect with them on LinkedIn. And, as an alumni, sometimes, you feel like you lose touch once you're done school, but LinkedIn is such a great way to keep in contact with all of these people. So if we take a look at the next slide, I just wanted to go through some facts, and I think these are really important to notice because it makes me excited about the platform and it makes me want to use the platform. So 98% of recruiters are on LinkedIn every day. So if you are someone that is job searching, this is the reason alone just to use it as a job searching platform, but also reason to make sure that you are actively on there as well, updating, posting, and looking at job postings. It's not just your resume online. This is not something that we are copying and pasting. It is truly, yes, it has aspects of your resume on it, but it's a much more personable and creative outlet for you to share about your professional life. Your profile should be complete and compelling. So sometimes people struggle with one or the other, and we are going to go through some of those today. So it markets you and it showcases your value and it brings your brand and resonates with your target audience. And I bolded or made some of those words in capitals because I think those are some key words that are really important that I want to have them resonate with you today. Markets and values and your brand and targeted to your audience. This goes so much more beyond, just handing in your resume. As much as resumes are important, this is what LinkedIn can do so much more of. So it's a great asset. And then, you know, even from when I found this number, it's probably even more updated at this point, but there are over 5 million profiles on LinkedIn. So there is no shortage of people. There is no shortage of resources or, you know, places and people and things for you to look up and connect to. So anyways, I just thought those were some great points to get us started. If we take a look, this next one here is just kind of about your first impression and something to be mindful of. And this includes LinkedIn and your social media profiles in general. So according to a 2018 Career Builder survey, more than 1,000 hiring managers and HR professionals did these following things. So 70% of respondents use social media networking sites to research job candidates. And 57% of whom discovered content that caused them not to hire candidates. So, you know, maybe even if you're on the differing end and you're just kind of using it for, you know, a research tool or to connect, think of it this way. You want that person to look at your profile and to want to read more and to want to connect with you, right? So we don't want to have anything on, you know, our social media or our LinkedIn in general that might cause them not to connect with us or not to hire us. Monitoring doesn't stop when a candidate is hired. So one of the great things that I will say is when I was interviewing about a year back and I started going around to different companies, one of the things that I noticed is about a day or so, or even a couple hours after I finished that interview, on LinkedIn, I could see someone who works at Brock University just looked at your profile, or someone who works at this organization just looked at your profile. And while sometimes exact names might not pop up, you can tell when someone looks at your profile, which is really neat. And again, you know, sometimes employers have to do a little bit like of an audit or assessment of employees. So LinkedIn or social media pages might be something that they monitor just to kind of keep tabs on what's going on. So with that being said, we're going to continue on and let's just take a look at what we have on our next slide here. Perfect. So we are going to get started. This was just kind of a, you know, New Year's resolution. Sometimes they're not always, you know, the reality. Sometimes they're not realistic. So maybe someone, you know, was just, oh, I'm going to fill out 10% of a LinkedIn profile. We are going to go beyond that today. So next slide, please, Laura. Awesome. We are going to start diving into some of the content. And what I want you to think about as you start to ponder your LinkedIn, whether it's something that you are currently building or something that you already have, know your value. Does your LinkedIn profile reflect your value? And what does that mean? So what distinguishes you? What makes you stand out? And so to me, those things, you know, what makes you different from other people? What experiences are unique to you that you can share and be proud of, or that you find fun or funny, or, you know, was a really great life lesson for you that other people haven't had? What skills do you have that maybe others don't, or that you feel are really your areas of expertise? Start to think about these kinds of things, because then we want to find a dynamic way to relay this information. And sometimes people say, I can never come up with a good headline. Well, here's the thing. As you start to think about, you know, what really distinguishes you and what you have to offer, then comes in your creative outlet. When you start to think about, you know, well, I am really people oriented, or I'm really big on helping people, you know, reach their goals. These are some of those key things that you can start to think about and kind of put in two sentences. And I think I saw one hand go up. So if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself. I can pause for a second. Awesome. Okay. And if not right at the moment, feel free to put questions in the chat as we go along. So with that being said, here are some things that you, again, need to be thinking about to get ready to really implement your profile. Know your audience. So with this being said, are you job searching? And so are you going to start following different companies of interest and people who work within those companies? Or are you Brock University staff member, and are you looking to get more involved in the Brock community? So maybe you're going to start following different Brock groups and Brock alumni, or maybe you're using it as a platform to connect with some of your students, or maybe you're using it as a platform to see what other methods other universities are using. Or maybe, you are in a company and you're looking to connect with more like-minded individuals of similar companies to see what new innovative things that they're doing. Or again, maybe it's just another social outlet for you where you're looking to find support from like-minded people. Or maybe you are an employer that is hiring and looking to, build up your company's profile so that you can bring in some employees in the near future. So know kind of who the audience is that you are targeting your profile for. And so know your proposition. What are you going to bring to the team? Or what do you have to offer? So if you're job searching, again, relaying your skills and maybe propositioning yourself as a great candidate. Or maybe, again, as a staff member or someone who is just looking to connect, maybe you have advice or information to share and you just want to connect with others to help them and, hear about their journeys or do some advising, whatever that might be. What do you have to offer? What is your, give back, or what are you hoping to accomplish as a result of using LinkedIn? Finally, you're going to want to highlight your most interesting qualities, skills, and knowledge and ability. So again, yes, some of this is pulled from your resume, but going above and beyond that, we can talk about our interests here, whereas we won't necessarily talk about that on our resume. And then again, you're going to want to communicate effectively and use compelling language. And we're going to go through some examples of what that looks like. All right, so one of the first things that you are going to need on your LinkedIn profile, or maybe you already have it, is your photo. And so again, maybe this is something that you need to source out, or maybe it's something that you're looking to update, but here are a couple things to keep in mind. I'll start with the middle point. So your photo, it should be a headshot. You should be smiling. It should have a little bit of a personal or positive look to it. It should be good within good lighting, and it should be fairly recent, so that if you were to then connect or see the person in person one day, it's not necessarily kind of a guessing game as to who you are. So you want to make it public. Employers are 7 times less likely to connect with you if you don't have a headshot and photo on your LinkedIn account. So that's why this photo piece is so important. And some people don't use a background photo. Well, here's the thing. There are some default ones with LinkedIn, but they're not very interesting and they're really standard. So don't use the default. You can Google LinkedIn background photos and choose one that's related to your industry. Again, you might not think that the background photo is a big deal, but here's the thing. Again, it shows that you've put more effort and more time into that LinkedIn profile, and choosing something that relates to you or the industry that you're in catches the eye and catches the interest of the reader of your profile. So if you're looking to, how can I catch people's attention, your headshot and your background are both a good first initial impression. So we're going to take a look at a few different headshots. And again, number one is not necessarily the LinkedIn profile picture but it could be, their social media profile picture. And here's the thing. If someone looks at you on LinkedIn, they might also take that next step and look at your other social media pages. So while there might be an event that you're having fun with friends, I would recommend just to take note of what people can see, what's public, what's private, and to really make sure that it is something that is reflecting you, and that if an employer were to see it, you would be okay with that. So if we move to number 2, and I'll pause really quickly. I think some people are putting some information in the chat as to background images. Those are great resources. Thank you so much for sharing. If anyone else has resources as well that they're like, hey, I found this to be really useful in relation to my LinkedIn and photos, please feel free to share that with us. I want this to be, a really kind of roundtable helpful opportunity and session for everyone.
Good morning, Michelle speaking.
If we look at number 2, this is the same student's photo after they updated it, and we encourage them to say, think about themselves and their first impression. And I do hear some feedback and someone maybe talking on the phone in the chat. So if I can just encourage everyone to mute themselves, that would be great. Thank you. Again, so number 2 is okay, but here's the thing, especially if it's for a LinkedIn profile picture, the employer or the reader or whoever it might be wants to see you. And you could have a common name. So one of the things is that if they can't see your picture, they're not sure if it's you or someone else. So number 2, lets people know that maybe you're fun and outdoorsy and like taking some risks, but at the same time, it's not that up close and professional photo that they're looking for. Number 3, though, is a student's LinkedIn profile picture, and that is a great example. Something that is from the shoulders up, kind of like how we are within our little, Zoom or Team screen boxes on the computer. Something that, again, has good lighting so your face can be seen, you're smiling. You don't necessarily have to be looking directly at the camera, but just a photo that is positive and professional and shows you in a great way. So if we take a look at the next screen here, this is where we are going to transfer a little bit into our headline. And as we look at this example here, we can see this person has a great profile picture, their background, you know what, again, it's not the default. So we're already kind of one step up from there. And, maybe that's a photo they took, or maybe that's their, favorite spot on campus to go outside or wherever it might be. This could be, a picture representing an environment even that really stands out to you. So when we're talking about your headline, again, these are the first kind of tidbits of information that is short right underneath your name. So this is your brand statement that people will see when you send them a request. It should be short and memorable and be a tagline to describe you. It should include keywords related to your current or target industry, and it can use up to 120 characters. But here's a hack that I like to share with people. If you update this on your mobile phone, you can do it in 240 characters, which actually gives you a little bit of extra space to write more content. So I would absolutely recommend that. And the question that we have in the chat is, should we include pronouns in that section? At this point, it is definitely something that is becoming more common within different organizations and industries. So if this is something that you feel comfortable, you're welcome to use it. So if we were to take a look at this student samples headline here, we know that it's a business marketing student seeking challenging summer position and skilled in social media marketing enthusiast. So this employer or whoever is seeking her out will get those key industry words. It's short and sweet, and it kind of gives a good summary of who she is. So for example, for me, I am not job searching, and so my intent for LinkedIn is to connect with students, to get to know staff and faculty within Brock, and to hear about industry updates and what students I'm helping are up to. So for me, mine would say Student Talent Development Specialist at Brock University, and then the other portion of mine is passionate about helping people reach their goals. Because for me, my position is all about career advising and helping with a successful job search and really optimizing your resume and cover letter or helping you get into grad school. So my whole job is about helping people reach their goals. And that's what I love to see those outcomes, and I love to see that progress. So think about, who you are, where you're at, maybe where you're working or what you're looking for, and maybe something that you're skilled in or that you're passionate about. Narrow that down to a few keywords and put that into your headline. And again, we recognize that some people are wordsmiths. They are fantastic at coming up with, maybe short and witty comments, or they're just skilled at putting words together. We recognize that not everyone's like that. And for me, it takes a little while to think about what I want to say or what to come up with. So, think about it for a little while. Or ask a friend or ask a family member, how would they describe you? That can be some great pieces of input to have as well. So at this point, I am going to pass it over to Laura, and she's going to dive into a little bit of the summary section with you.
Wonderful. Okay. So the summary section is the next big piece that can seem kind of daunting on a LinkedIn profile. And I say that because I feel very uncomfortable writing about myself. And this is an example of that kind of writing that may put you out of your comfort zone. So I'm going to give you some tips and suggestions for how to make a really impactful summary statement on your LinkedIn profile. And again, this is going to help differentiate the summary statement that you sometimes see on a resume from what we can really do on LinkedIn and how we can really operationalize this platform in a way that stands apart from traditional job search, job seeking documents. So you want to use your summary to grab the attention of the person looking at your profile. So your opening headline, that's something that, okay, I can see something I'm interested in. And the next thing they're going to see is your summary. So you want that opening piece to be really eye-grabbing and not boilerplate, not I am such and such doing such and such. You want to make them want to read more. You also want to use this piece on LinkedIn to do something that's different from your resume. Again, some resumes include summary statements at the top that include highlights from your career, from your industry experience, etc. But you want to make this different. If an employer, for example, sees your LinkedIn profile link on your resume, they're not going to want to open that up and see exactly the same content on both pieces. This is also an opportunity for you to showcase your knowledge and your connection to the industry that you're either working in or looking to get into by doing some research and finding some key words that are really important and powerful in that industry. And much like tailoring your resume to a position, tailoring some of the language in your LinkedIn profile to align with what you want to do, what you're currently doing, and how you can make yourself even more marketable in that field. You also want to make this a little bit more personal and conversational than your resume. Again, your resume document is completely different, and LinkedIn gives you an opportunity to expand your personality a bit, to give an employer or someone looking to connect with you a bit more of an insight into who you are as a person in addition to your professionalism. So speak or write in first person. Show some personality. Don't be afraid to write a little bit more casually in your language. But again, it is a fine line. So maybe when you write something, if it sounds like something you'd post on social media versus something you'd post on a cover letter, maybe somewhere partway in between that. Try not to write in cliches like the answer to what is your greatest weakness, I care too much, I try too hard. Try to avoid those things because there's a good chance that not only has the person viewing your resume or you viewing your LinkedIn seen that on LinkedIn, they've also seen it in movies and TV shows, and it really doesn't give anybody a real idea of who you are. So try not to say I'm a strong team player with great communication skills, because that doesn't actually tell the person a lot about you and a lot about who you are as a person. Try to write in shorter bursts, shorter chunks, instead of long paragraphs. You want to keep the reader's interest instead of giving them a play-by-play of the last 10 years of your work experience. If you have written articles or if you have other professional content that you've generated, you can add links to videos or photos or websites where you've been published if it's applicable to your industry or if it makes sense. Talk about what you're interested in and also the experiences that you've had that relate to both your personal and professional aspirations. Talk about your skills, your unique areas of knowledge, and your goals. What makes you you, and how do you make this LinkedIn profile summary stand apart from your resume, for example? When possible, keep it clear and concise. You don't need 1,000 words. I don't even think you can put 1,000 words in your LinkedIn summary, but you want to make it something that's short, to the point, exciting. You can use 5 words instead of 20 words, then you're golden. And of course, like I said, try to balance professionalism with personality. So somewhere in between a casual social media post and a resume document, something that shows people who you are, what your personality is all about, what you're interested in, but that also errs on the side of professional.
For sure. And Laura, just to jump in really quick, Lauren posted a question and said, would you recommend using bullet points if you have a lot of experience, or are short paragraphs better? And I think this next slide will maybe give a good example.
Yes, excellent question. You're right on the ball here. So here's an example of a summary statement. And I will preface this by saying it really is all about you and what makes sense to you. We don't want to give you a template, and we hesitate to use templates at all, because then everybody coming out of a session like this, or anybody coming out of professional development, will have exactly identical looking profile statements and pictures. And if everyone Googles the same LinkedIn background picture, again, that defeats the purpose of helping you stand out. So it really is about you and how you want to present yourself. And as far as I'm concerned, no formatting is off the table as long as you have a reason for doing it the way you're doing it. Again, I would urge you not to put big paragraphs that have 5 to 10 sentences in them, perhaps, because again, you're looking for the ease of the reader. And if people are looking at your profile on their phone, on their cell phone, a paragraph is a lot to digest on a small screen. So here's an example of a summary statement. Now you can see at the top, it starts with about. Give an idea of about who you are as a person. And it begins with some real insight into who this person is and what they're interested in, without maybe explicitly saying, my name is this and I'm interested in this. You've got career paths are about ups and downs, opportunities, challenges, confusion, and clarity. I like helping people find their way to put their best foot forward as they navigate their journey. So that's a really impactful first line of a summary statement. And you can see in the red circle, it says see more. So that first sentence or sentence and a half, you want to make that as compelling as possible, because you want that person to click see more and have the rest of your summary pop down. You want to keep them reading. So for example, I accomplished this by helping people see more, and here's where they've used bullet points. So this is a way to really make some elements of your skill set or your experience, or maybe what you do that you're passionate about, really stand out in the form of effective bullet points. So this person isn't necessarily listing the things that they're interested in, boom, 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 in a bullet point, but they're using it as a device to really help their point stand out. So they help people find out what their superpowers are. Again, that's a really compelling language. Openly explore possibilities, identify options, translate their career dreams into practical steps. These are really clear, understandable ways that this individual can communicate what they're passionate about, what they do, and what they're skilled in. And again, as you can notice throughout the rest of this section, again, first person language. I am lucky to get to do this as a career development professional in higher education. So this person's, again, letting their personality shine through. It's clear that they're passionate about their job. They're passionate about the industry that they're in, and they're very clear about why that is. They're also sharing about some elements of their experience, not unlike a cover letter, but again, much more personal of a document, talking about what they're passionate about, why they love their job, the things that they've done that have got them the way where they are today. And of course, talking about their skills that they have that are related not only to the industry that they're in or the position that they're doing, skills that connect them to other aspects of their personal life. What are their extracurricular interests? In this instance, this individual works in career, but they're also passionate about interior design and home organization. And they talk about a project that they're undertaking, which again, helps you stand out from the rest of the people on LinkedIn by connecting with who you are as a person, planning their next trip to Italy. I mean, that speaks a lot about this person's personality in a way that you don't see with traditional job search documents like a cover letter and like a resume. And that's why we can't stress enough how exciting LinkedIn is as a possibility to really expand that side of you as you go forward in your career search or in your networking or however you choose to use the platform. And again, that is going to be my refrain. There are so many opportunities to use LinkedIn in a way that's different from your resume to really give you that one step up and help differentiate you from all the other folks out there online. So a resume, if many of you maybe haven't reviewed your resume in a while or haven't done a resume review session, just some brief general points about resumes. They're usually about 2 pages in length, depending on the industry. Some industries only want 1-page resumes. CVs are many, many pages, but typically a professional resume is 2 pages with professional language as opposed to personable language. It's less casual, more formal, using a lot of industry keywords very intentionally, and those tend to be very professional. You're never going to really see the word fun or maybe exciting or words like that. You're not going to really see those on a resume. A resume is almost entirely used to get a job, and not only to get a job broadly, but to get a specific job. You want your resume to be tailored to that one position that you're applying for, so there's no doubt in the recruiter's mind that you make a great fit. So that is a document that's used for a specific purpose. And a resume lists your achievements, your experiences, very specifically, chronologically, your work experience and the impacts that you've made in those various positions. And a LinkedIn profile is different from that, and it can be used as an add-on to that, particularly if you link your LinkedIn profile to your resume. LinkedIn, you can put an almost unlimited amount of content on your LinkedIn profile that would make it way longer than 2 pages if you were to print it out. There are some sections that have limitations, like character limitations, and the skills section on your LinkedIn. I believe you can only have 50 skills, but that's a fair number of skills, perhaps more than captured in your resume. So you have a lot of avenues to really get into maybe projects that you'd leave off your resume for a variety of reasons. A LinkedIn profile is both professional and personal. As the example we showed before about this individual's interest in traveling to Italy, showing about who you are as a professional person, but also what makes you excited and curious and happy, and other elements of your personality that transcend the resume document. LinkedIn can also be used for so many purposes, not just applying for a job. And that is one of the things that people use it for, certainly. But as Brianna said, I'm also not searching for our job at this moment. I'm not in that part of my career journey. I'm looking at LinkedIn as a way to connect with students, as a way to connect with alumni, the various institutions I've worked at and attended. I'm looking at it as a way to learn more about other people in my field. A resume, not a similar document. LinkedIn also lists achievement and allows you to give proof of that achievement in a slightly less rigid way than your resume. I did say before there are no templates that we really recommend everyone do it the same way, but resumes are a bit more formulaic and the information that you're able to present and how much information to present. LinkedIn, you can get creative with how you want to demonstrate your ability and your skills and your interest and your knowledge. Again, it is a separate document. It can be used for many, many things as an augmentation piece to your resume, as a standalone document, as anything that you want it to be. Now, building your profile, if many of you have a LinkedIn profile, you may see there's a certain percentage you have of a completed profile. What you want to do is complete that profile to 100%. Way back in the beginning of the presentation where an individual had handwritten some New Year's resolutions, I want to complete 10% of my LinkedIn profile. That's a great start, but what you really want to do ultimately is have a fully completed LinkedIn profile, because that gives a fantastic impression about who you are as a person, and it can give the viewer a lot more information than only a partially completed profile. So on a basic LinkedIn, you're going to see someone's work experience, not too dissimilar to how it's formatted perhaps on a resume. You're going to see where they went to school, what degree they have, perhaps any volunteer experience that they've included. You're going to see a list of skills and a list of things that they're interested in. So that's the basic information on a LinkedIn profile that, for the most part, if you have a 100% completed profile, you'll have those things, at least in some sense. To augment that, just to add more to that, to help you stand out, you're going to want to try to get endorsements on those skills that you have. So if you go on LinkedIn, you're able to see your friends and colleagues' skills and you can endorse them simply by clicking, or you can write down a proper endorsement speaking to your time working with them or the skills that they have. And those are really valuable on LinkedIn as well, because it gives recruiters some additional information from another perspective about what kind of employee you are, or how committed you are to something, or however the endorsement plays out. You can also have recommendations on a extended version of a LinkedIn profile. You can list accomplishments. You can add photos, links, any sort of multimedia content. You can post articles on LinkedIn. You can share content, and all of those will be linked to your profile as well. So that'll give the viewer even more of an idea of who you are as a person, both personally and professionally, and how you engage with the world around you.
And if I can maybe jump in and say something really quick, getting endorsements, is really important, because that way, then when employers or students or other industry professionals come and look at your page, it shows proof that yes, people have agreed with those skills. And one of the things that we do with our student staff team within career education, kind of once a term, is we'll have endorsement parties where we will all click on each other's LinkedIn profiles. You have 15 minutes, and you go and you agree to the skills that they've listed, and we write comments about what it has been like, about what it has been like to work with them over this last term. So if you are within a workplace and many of the staff there have LinkedIn, that could be, an icebreaker or something that you do within a staff meeting. Or you could just let a couple friends know, hey, can we all just spend a few minutes and go endorse each other's skills? Because it's only going to benefit you if you take part in doing, that little extra piece on LinkedIn.
Exactly. That's a great idea. And it is not a strange request of people that you know and can speak to you professionally to say, hey, I'm working on my LinkedIn profile. Can you help me out by maybe endorsing some of my skills or writing a recommendation? It only serves to bolster your LinkedIn profile and also can serve to boost your confidence as well. If you end up reading something that someone writes about you that you really didn't know, like, wow, that person really values who I am and who I am as a professional and my skill set, it can go a long way for that as well. So another thing, a way to integrate your various pieces of your job search together. So adding your LinkedIn perhaps to your resume, even though I've just spent 10 minutes saying they're different documents, you can leverage your resume as an opportunity to promote your LinkedIn profile to employers who may be interested in learning more about you. And it gives them an easier way to do that, right? Rather than typing, let's say, John Smith into LinkedIn and hoping that you come up, you provide them your customized URL so they can go right to your profile. So you can do this by editing. You can keep the generic profile, but I really recommend editing your custom URL, whether that's just sticking your name at the end of it or something like that. That way it's more personal, it stands out, it looks nice. So you can do that by going to your profile and clicking on edit public profile and URL. You can edit your custom URL if you maybe run an independent business and that's why you use LinkedIn. You can put the business name or you can put your name. I believe mine is the first part of my email address, which includes my name. So it's another way that that personalizes your LinkedIn. It looks really nice, as you can see on the bottom, in your header section of your resume. That way they can type that in nice and quick, not a lot of numbers and symbols. It's just what you've put there. So in this case, Julian.jobs. And it goes a long way to connect all of your pieces together if you're using your resume as part of a job search, or if not, if you're just sharing your link or sharing your URL, it's a nice way to make that stand out as well. So with that all being said, we've created our LinkedIn profile, we've filled it out 100%, we have leveraged our contacts for endorsements and for recommendations, and we feel really confident about what we have on there. Bearing in mind that it is a constantly evolving document, but we're in a good place with that. Our next step is to really make sure that we get visible with our profile. We make sure that we put it out there because we now have something that we're proud of, that we can really present, and we feel that presents well for us. So once you've got a great profile, you need to get it out there. So how you can get visible through your network on LinkedIn. You can put a status, much like other social media accounts. You can update a status. You can post your own content. You can write an article. You could share other content. If you've read an article that's particularly compelling and you have a lot of thoughts about that, you can share that on your LinkedIn in your feed, and you can share your opinion. You can post that article. You can generate a conversation. And that's how you pop up in other people's feed. When I go on LinkedIn, I see a lot of the same people up on my newsfeed because they're constantly engaged with their industry, with LinkedIn, with the world around them. And that keeps your profile popping up again and again on people's LinkedIn. So when they look, they see your name again, they see your thoughtfulness, they see your comments, they see your contribution. Sharing documents and photos. LinkedIn is great. You can pretty much embed any type of media into your LinkedIn post. And it's a really dynamic way of showing what you're interested in, your passions, your skills. And it also is linked to your profile as well. If you go back to your profile, you'll see the recent activity that you've had on LinkedIn, and people also looking at your profile will see the same thing. They'll be able to see how engaged you are in that community. And of course, LinkedIn is a great place, not only, as Brianna said, to collect all of your contacts, similar to having a handful of business cards at the end of a networking event, but it's really an easy opportunity to stay in touch with your community and the various different communities that you are a part of on LinkedIn. And with that, a great way of building your network starts right here with this session today, how to build your network on LinkedIn strategically. So if we're all Brock alumni, I feel a little crazy that I'm not Brock alumni, but I almost feel like I want to be today. But if you're Brock alumni, you want to find other people who went to Brock who share similar experiences. So you can search in the LinkedIn bar, the search bar, Brock University. You can look through various different hubs that Brock has on this platform. Alumni, you can see on the left in that picture. You can look at all the Brock alumni who've connected with Brock on LinkedIn. You can search by keyword. You can look for people in your program. You can look for alumni who have similar positions to you, or people whose careers you're really interested in finding more about. If you're relatively new to LinkedIn and you don't have a huge network, this is a great place to start because you already know all the people here today have at least that in common. They've all gone to Brock University and they all are doing some pretty interesting and fascinating things. And it's a great grounds to start connecting with people. So find people that you're interested in talking to and send them a connection request. And how to do that, how to do that effectively, is to be personal about it. Like I said, it's easy when we're all here together today. We may be adding each other on LinkedIn and we already have something we have in common. We went to Brock and we went to this session. These are two examples of two different people sending a connection request on LinkedIn. And I can speak to this personally, that top one. I get a lot of students who've attended events, try to connect with me on LinkedIn, but they hit connect and then they walk away. I don't necessarily know who they are, other than I can see they're a Brock student. I don't know what session they attended. I'm not sure what they want to connect with me about. And that means I don't really know how I can help them or how I can help them achieve their goals or what they want to talk about, or if they're just collecting connections to have a higher number. The person at the bottom has connected on LinkedIn with Ashley. Hello, Ashley. I'm a student in this class. I heard you speak last week. Thank you for your time and thank you for your helpful hints, etc. It's always a good idea to send a personalized invitation to connect on LinkedIn because that helps, in this case, Ashley, remember who you are out of maybe the hundreds of people that she connects with per week. Gives her an idea of what you may have in common or what you're looking to learn from her and how to take the next best steps. There are instances where you may be ignored on LinkedIn when you send a connection request, and more often than not, it's either because they don't really keep up with their LinkedIn or it's because they're not really clear how they can help you. People want to be helpful. People love talking about themselves. For the most part, people will be willing to respond if it's clear to them how they can actually help you and why you're connecting and what you'd like to talk about. It makes me a little nervous today when I get an invitation to connect and I'm not sure where to go with it. I'm not sure what I can do for them because I'm inclined to help, but I don't know how. So giving them that information, making that personal connection, reminding them of the event that you attended together, or maybe if you read an article that they posted and want to engage with them in that sense, it's always a good idea. And think about it. If you were to receive those two connections from people you didn't really know, who are you more likely to accept and connect with? So connecting your LinkedIn into your general social media strategy. When you're a professional, as Brianna mentioned, if you type your name into Google, having a LinkedIn will go a long way towards putting the positive professional aspects on the top of that search result. But you also want to be mindful that your other social media accounts are visible as well if they are public. So you've got LinkedIn popping up at first. If I'm a recruiter looking for information about somebody or looking to get a deeper impression of who they are, a fully completed LinkedIn profile goes a long way. But also what follows below that in the search results or maybe your Facebook account that you haven't touched in 10 years, or maybe an Instagram or Twitter that you may have posted some pictures of you having fun, just like that one student in the example. So just keep in mind when you're looking and when you're actively job seeking, the impression that all of your social media accounts together provides for the recruiter. If they find more than your LinkedIn may not overshadow what else is out there on the internet. if what else is out there is maybe problematic or confusing for them. Like the statistics show, there are recruiters who have said no to a candidate based on how they are presented on the internet, and that is the world that we currently live in. Share and comment on blogs, on articles on LinkedIn. Really make your LinkedIn popular and show up in feeds by engaging with the content, like we said. And always be on the lookout for new people you can connect with for a variety of reasons. And again, make sure to reach out in a personal way. If anyone wants to connect with Brianna or I today, we would love to continue this conversation. And it's a great way to practice sending a personalized connection request, because we'd both love to continue the conversation. And before we do that, we want to provide some additional resources that will help you mobilize your LinkedIn as an excellent part of your career journey, with some resources available to alumni on CareerZone. So careerzone.brocku.ca, you'll have to have activated your alumni account, but once you do that, you can log in to CareerZone, look at the student resources. There are a lot of resources out there: resume, cover letter, interview prep, but there's also social media and branding, which is where LinkedIn is covered in as well. So it'll give you a lot of resources, like we've talked about today, about how to mobilize that LinkedIn platform, some best practices, how to engage in meaningful networking, etc. And then, of course, LinkedIn itself is a great platform for learning about these things as well. If there's any topic that you're interested in diving more into, even if it's just professional networking, check out lynda.com, LinkedIn Learning, formerly lynda.com. And finally, if you have any questions at all about anything that we've talked about today, or any general questions about your career journey, please don't hesitate to reach out at career@brocku.ca and connect with one of us on our team, and we'll be happy to continue that conversation. And with that, Brianna and I would love to thank you all for coming here today and open the floor for any questions you may have. Please feel free to type in the chat or unmute yourself.
Absolutely. And if at this point you would like to, I know people have been doing it throughout, but share your LinkedIn profile for people to check out or add you, you're welcome to do that, or post any questions and we can stay on the line for a few minutes. But otherwise, thank you for spending your lunch break with us.
I love all the information sharing we've got up in the chat here. The free photo downloads and things. That's fantastic.
It's great. I've been reviewing my LinkedIn this whole time. I'm like, oh, need to change this. Need to change this.
Oh, me too. Mine's a work in progress as well. I feel like there's always ways to update these documents, which takes some work, but once you get going, it gets easier and easier to make a great profile.
Yeah, for sure. And there was one question that came up. So Jonathan says, I've been seeing more people posting with regards to politics on LinkedIn. Would you recommend this? And my thought is, again, do what you're comfortable with, but just be mindful that, if you're job searching, people might have different opinions from you. And while LinkedIn should be a place where you can be posting about, your opinion, what's going on with you, exciting things, again, maybe just be mindful of what you are posting in your own comfort level, and, whether employers may or may not have the same stance.
Yeah, LinkedIn's a great place to showcase your personality, and being very intentional about that is a good idea. If politics is something that really matters to you and you want to only connect with people who you can engage with in that sphere, feel free to present yourself however you think best suits the purpose that you created the LinkedIn profile. Acknowledging, like Brianna said, not everyone's going to agree, and that's great. Discourse is so great, but again, it's maybe like bringing it up at Thanksgiving. You never know what's going to happen, but if it's really something you're passionate about, doing it mindfully, doing it intentionally, and also the internet lasts forever. So if you have a bad day and post maybe something somewhat questionable, that will always live on the internet. So take a deep breath before you post anything, but just be yourself and connect with like-minded people.
For sure. And Catherine asks, is there a CWC credit link for this workshop? We don't have a link for that at the moment, but if you do go look on that transcript, there is a career section, and I believe, different workshops and professional development is a part of that. So you can probably self-report to get credit for that.
I'd like to
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm getting a lot of emails through about folks requesting this presentation recorded. So I'll just send it to everybody once it's published on YouTube so everybody knows that's
Perfect.
still
Thank you. Would you recommend someone or company to customize our resume and cover letter? Yes, absolutely. So if you send your resume to that career@brocku.ca, we have a host of career assistants that monitor that email and regularly review resumes and cover letters. So you can just send it there and have a conversation with one of our career assistants. Or if you go on to careerzone@brocku.ca with your student or alumni credentials, there is a resume and cover letter tab there with lots of kind of self-assessment forms and samples that you can look at.
And I think the customization piece, yes, definitely customize your resume to the position. It sounds like a lot of work, but if you have a master resume with all of your information, all of your different impact statements, you can then use that to build a new resume whenever you apply for a job, because you want to be mindful of the language that the employer is using to describe the job, and you want to align your experience and language with that as well. So yes, definitely not just your cover letter, but also being mindful to customize your resume as well.
Sure. Can we get the PowerPoint? Yes, if you send an email. I will just put my email in the link here and then I can pass it along to you.
And yes, Jill, you should personalize your LinkedIn URL. It shortens it, it makes it nice. You can add your name at the end. It's easier for someone to type it in if they're seeing it on the top of a resume, etc. So I definitely recommend.
All right, well, it looks like that's it for questions. I'd like to thank you both again for sharing your knowledge with us, and you definitely lived up to your expert reputations. So thank you. Again, if anybody has any questions beyond today's webinar, feel free to reach out with Brianna or Laura over LinkedIn. And if you have any questions in regards to alumni services offered or future webinars, you can certainly reach out to myself over LinkedIn.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great day, everybody.